Get out the way. Who got a watch? Who got the time? I'm raising the clock. Even in my feelings, grind don't stop. Got big dreams, want big rocks. I got plans, you got talk. Heard it's real cheap, but it's really gon' cost. I'm trying to get these ends, build empires with my friends. I'm about handling my business. No time for stress over bullshit. You think success is an option? I'm trying to get this shit poppin' like woo. Big moves, my rules. Y'all heavy on the tweeting. I'll disappear a whole season like woo. Who said they looking for me? I'ma make.
Hey DeMarie TV family, everything I say is alleged, just in my opinion, and it is for entertainment purposes only. So let's hop into season 8 of Love Marriage Huntsville. Episode 4 is Keep My Wife's Name Out Your Mouth. Now listen, this episode is down 11,000 views from last week's ratings. It is an all-time season low. For the 4 episodes that they've had. It was a bump on episode 2, but ever since then it's been consistently dropping. And anytime they want to do an episode without real, stories, without real content, without good episode information and content regarding Melody Cherie Rogers, then this is what they can expect. They can expect the viewership to drop because this is not what we're here for. So let's get into it. Scene 1, Kimmy's at the newly remodeled, Credit One building. They've changed the name of their business. They're now doing closings and for home ownership. And they're also renting out some spaces in the building. And Kimmy's on the phone with Andrea, who is one of her best friends. And so I believe essentially the theme this season is going to be bring on additional people. So I fully expect that we're probably going to see Andrea again this season. We saw her a little bit last season when they had the event at the Scott's home at Maurice and Kimmy's house. She came over to visit Kimmy at the home, spent some time with her there. So we got to see her a little bit last season, and I believe we're probably going to see her again this season because they're trying to incorporate more people into Love and Marriage Huntsville. We'll see how that goes. Tisha comes in this really weird outfit that she has going on. I don't know why you need all that for just a little office visit, but okay, Tisha, do you, girl. Kimmy's discussing some work that's going to be done on a restaurant location that her and Maurice are, building out, and I guess someone's going to be leasing the restaurant location from them, and there's conversations about Marceau and being the person to do the work to get the restaurant ready. So Kimmy's talking about, wanting to have the woman in the restaurant at a particular time, and Tisha's talking about how she doesn't want the business to affect their personal relationship. And I believe Tisha's concerned because she knows how they do business. And so she does not want Marceau and her business practices to interrupt the relationship between her and Kimmy. She's saying as long as the budget's there, everything will be on time. But listen, Kimmy, honey, get some references. Do some checkups and check some references and see how that works out. Honey, go on down to the courthouse. Pull some of them court records and judgments and kind of do your research before you hand over money to these people. Or maybe you already know, I don't know. But I just think this is funny that they are acting like they're such good business people and all this stuff and, whatever. And then here comes Destiny. Destiny's talking about Tisha and Kimmy are her girls. Now, last time I saw Kimmy and Destiny together, Kimmy was basically putting her foot in Destiny's ass and kicking her off the stage. So she was saying, listen, I've tried to get her to film. Y'all see me try. She does not want to tell her story. And Kimmy was basically advocating for Destiny to be off the show. Now that's her girl. So I don't know what'll be going on with these Love and Marriage Huntsville people. Then Destiny decides she wants to come in with the Sunni and Moses story. I think they're going to shove this story down our throats because they believe what made Love and Marriage Huntsville successful was a story about cheating in a relationship. And they feel like we can recreate this story and people will get back involved in Love and Marriage Huntsville, and they're going to love the story and they're going to love the show again. They don't think it was anything specifically special about Mel and Martell. They just think we're addicted to the drama. And on so many levels, I think certain people are addicted to the drama. And that may work for those people. But for me, personally, I'm not bought in, I'm not invested. I'm starting to wonder why, you know, the Sunni and Moses story is taken off the way that it is. Because I'm not sure that it's even real, you know, and I said this before, I'm not sure that this is not just a made up story. And they would have gone to a large extent to make it up, but I'm not sure that it's real. And even if it is real, it's not enough substance there for me to care about. Moses was not married. He wasn't in a relationship with Destiny. She's acting like it was deeper than he's acting like it was. And she's acting like she had a bigger bond with Sunni than Sunni's acting like she had with Destiny. I don't care about it either way. I don't feel like anyone wronged Destiny because Destiny wasn't his woman. And I don't think Destiny would have ever been his woman. I don't see any man right now choosing Destiny to be their woman. It's just, it looks like she's got a lot of baggage and she needs a lot. And people today are moving, you know, they're just not moving towards people who are a lot of weight and a lot of baggage. Life for people today is a lot more simplistic than that. They're looking for the easy route. They're not looking to pick somebody up, patch them up, take care of them, mend them. People not looking for that. And she's always borrowing money from people. She's very needy. And so to me, being in a relationship with Destiny just looks like it'd be a lot of work because she's a lot of work. And I just don't think people are looking for that. Tisha had to bring up a way to introduce Mel into this scene that just did not need to include Mel at all. But she brought her up anyway. And could Destiny and Mel be cordial and be in the same room? And of course, Tisha brings this up in Destiny, oh, I can be cordial, but she makes this statement about how she'll burn the whole house down if it goes left. And I'm just not here for Destiny, her empty threat. She never comes through. She's a bunch of bark with no bite. And I don't think anybody's worried about Destiny, threatened by Destiny. Nobody's seeking a relationship with Destiny. I don't believe Mel even wants a relationship with Destiny. For what? Why would you invite that chaos back into your life? So the next scene is with Nell Fletcher and Martell. And it's really so disappointing. You know, a lot of us had hope that Nell would come onto the show and be a very supportive friend of Mel, and she's none of that. She is absolutely none of that. And so this season, the veil comes off and you start to see Nell for who she really is. They're discussing the Revenge P, and Nell is saying to Martell that she told Mel she didn't agree with her sending him to jail, even after now she understands why he was sent to jail. She understands what he did. She understands the severity of that. She understands the impact of that on women, but she still feels he was not supposed to be sent to jail for that. So of course Martell loves to hear that. And Martell is, again, like he always does, denying any responsibility for his actions. And so at this point, we all know that Martell's convicted. They don't know that at the time of this filming, but we know now that he has been convicted. What that means is whatever he sent, the magistrate deemed it illegal. The charges were filed and he was convicted under the law for domestic violence, harassing communications, which equals to Revenge P. So this is all I sent, you know, it was her bullying me. I only sent this, only Mel and one other person saw it. That's all crap. We know who saw it. It was Mel. It was the gutter snipe. It was her sisters. It was, I believe, in my opinion, the Scott brothers, Mark, their other brother, who says in writing that he saw it. Martell told Queen Sheba he did it. He told Tasha K he did it. He also had the gutter snipe release her recordings through a blogger, and it's recorded and out there that she says she saw it and shared it with her sisters. So multiple people have seen this tape. It is a crime. So whether you, Nell, believe that it's right or wrong, doesn't matter. The state, the legislature, has deemed it a crime, And he has now, to date, been convicted of that crime. So whether you think it's right or wrong, you, ma'am, need to change your perception of what right or wrong is and get your head together. This is not appropriate to do to women. And if it was happening to your daughter, you would be livid. So she decides to take the position that they're both doing things tick for tack. You know, they're both, you do one thing, she does another thing. Mel don't do nothing to this man. She does not want to talk to this man, hear from this man, interact with him, nothing. She has spent her last 3 to 4 years figuring out how to have no interaction with him but to raise children. You understand? So Mel is not trying to do anything to Martell. She set boundaries. When he crosses them, she makes sure there is a consequence to his behavior. That is how you have to deal with the narcissist. But Nell does not understand that. Nell is a woman of the position, men can mess up, but they can always get better. You can forgive them. You're not dealing with the same situation Mel is dealing with. Your sons are not doing the things that Martell is doing. Chris Fletcher did not do what Martell did. This is against the law. Revenge P is against the law. It is a crime against women. That is not happening on your side of the table. So these are not apples to apples. You're trying to compare apples to oranges. We all know that the incarceration rate amongst black men is extremely high and that the police unjustly focus their attention and arrest black men at an exponential rate. We get that. They do it to make sure we're paying money, locked out of jobs. It's a systematic issue. We understand that. But in that understanding, black men should also understand not to do the things that Martell has done, because in the event that you do, you are more than likely going to have to pay a price for it. And it can be jail. It's his first offense, so I don't believe he's going to get any jail time. But I also don't believe that Martell's capable of stopping his behavior. I'm not sure it'll be with Mel or if it's going to be with someone else, but his behavior will not stop. So what you now have are charges that are going to be piling up on the books. And I would not at all be surprised if this man ends up in prison doing time, because now he's in the system and everything he does is going to start to compound. It's going to start to compound, and it is going to start to leave a record and documentation of his behavior, and eventually a judge is going to get tired of him. So it appears Martell is tired of being on an island alone, and so he needs some company. So he decides to suggest in this conversation that Nell was Chris's side chick. He's been pushing this narrative for a minute, and so he's face to face with her, and being the gentleman he is, he calls her a side chick. It's just trifling. Nell explains in this scene that when she met Chris, he did not tell her he was married. However, he was married, and he had filed divorce papers, and they were separated, and she left him alone. So Martell is trying to say, no, you're still like Ariane, you're a side chick. Martell wants someone to be like him. He does not like being over here on this island by himself. So he wants to make sure that people believe it's not just me and Ariane, other people do these things too. But again, these two situations are not the same. Married men do not walk out into the world and meet other women and say, I'm married, hey, will you be in a relationship with me and be my side chick? That's not how that works. They lie. They lie and they tell people, women, most women that are single. I believe a married man will tell a married woman that he's married and they will together decide to have an affair. I believe that happens. But I also believe when a married man is trying to get with a single woman, 9 times out of 10, he is lying to her. He is not telling the truth. And Nell is saying that she found out he was married and she left him alone until he got his divorce, I would assume, because she said the papers are filed and she left him alone. That is exactly what you are to do if a married man approaches you and says he wants to have a relationship with you. When people divorce, they don't wait till the papers come in the mail before they move on with their life. They just don't do that. So in the event that you are a woman who does not want to be involved with a man who's in the middle of a divorce, then you tell him to reach back out to you when he's handled his business. I believe she handled it appropriately. I also believe that she, being a wife of 30 years, does not deserve the title of side chick. Chris Fletcher and Nell marrying Chris Fletcher has demonstrated to Nell exactly who he was inside of their own marriage. He has cheated in their own marriage, like many men do. He's gone 30 years through this process of growth with her, and at this point in his life, he is claiming, and she is projecting, that they have worked through these issues and now they're good. He's no longer cheating. He's no longer behaving the way that he used to behave. But she did have to go through these same issues in her own marriage with him. So the issue to me has always been Chris Fletcher. It has never been Nell. Nell gets the backlash, as most women do. We have to take the brunt of everything because everyone looks to us to solve all problems and to be right at all times. But the majority of time, missing dads who don't do what they're supposed to do, fathers who are out cheating, not parenting, or not being a husband, they don't get the brunt of that. So I find this to be incredibly unfair to Nell, for people to call her a side chick without listening to what really happened, and to diminish her 30-year marriage by equating her to Coleslaw, who's been a side chick for 10 years, and Martell has never married her. There are very few women who behave the gutter snipe behaves. And I think passing out the side chick name and equating everyone to her is diminishing the definition of the term. This is a special kind of bitch. She's a special bitch. And that should be left where it is. You know, you have women who have affairs with husbands over long periods of times when they're married. That is Ariane. That is the gutter snipe. Martell wants someone to be like him. He is tired of standing and sitting on this island alone, and I'm going to leave him over there by himself. There is no two things that are when it comes to the situation Martell has done and any other couple on this cast. Are there other men on this cast who've cheated on their wives? Absolutely. But none of those things are the same as what Martell has done. That is different. And it should always remain different. Don't give him the comfort of saying it's similar. It's not. He is on an island by himself, and he should be, because what he has done does not compare to any other situation on this show. Nell decided to make it a point to tell him that she was inviting Melody to her birthday party, and Martell's like, basically, he doesn't give a shit who wants to go to an old person's party anyway. That's the level of respect he has for her, but Nell is always caping for Martell. But he doesn't even think of her in the same way. He doesn't value her, just like he doesn't value the mother of his children, just like he doesn't value other women. She's no different, and she thinks by extending her so-called friendship to him that she holds some special place in his heart, a brother-sister relationship. She doesn't. She's just another person for him to step on. The next scene is another made-up scene. It's Marceau and Maurice, and they're meeting with Moses and Black to discuss, again, Sunni and Moses and the whole Destiny situation. Now, I don't know if anybody considers Maurice and Marceau Scott relationship gurus or men that you would go to or look up to with regards to love and marriage. I don't see that, you know, but this is the picture they want to paint, and the Scotts are pretty good about thinking they're doing a great job at painting the picture they want to paint and not really seeing the way people see them. But, you know, here we are. We've seen so many scenes in Black where there's nobody in there but them filming, and so it's nothing new about this scene. It's just them talking to Moses. Moses is someone who's 41-year-old man. I'm sure some people would find him attractive. I don't particularly find Moses attractive when he opens his mouth. It just is not, I don't know, it's something about him that just, to me, it makes it seem like he's always lying. He's not telling the truth. He's one of those people who speaks in a way where it's just very surface level. I don't see getting any real substance out of him. And I'm not really sure I understand how him and Sunni will be kind of attracted to each other. I don't see them as two people that are equally. He talks a lot about businesses that he's had and things like that. So to be perfectly honest, I think he's a great fit for the Scott brothers and, you know, the men on this show. I think he fits right in with them. All of that. I'm just not one of those people who see the problem. You have 3 adults, they're all single, and 2 of them decide to get married, and 1 is on the outs. Didn't work out in her favor. But if Moses is not like a good person and he's this man who cheated on his wife for 15 years with Destiny, then, I mean, where's the loss? Destiny didn't lose any position. He was a married man before and she was seeing him, and he's still a married man, and he probably in his mind thinks he hasn't changed her position at all. She could still see him. He's just married to a different woman. How is this impacting her at all? She can still be to him what she always has been. Moses always mentions that Destiny didn't show up for his birthday, you know? And I gotta think, well, she showed up for Martell's. So, I mean, and she showed up when Martell was with Belinda in Atlanta, and she showed up at Sheree's house when Martell was with Sheree. So I could kind of see, you know, if that's my boyfriend, how he could feel that, you know, you're not coming through for me, but you always showing up for Martell. Like, there's not ever a time that she didn't show up for Martell. She bought him oil on his video shoot. She showed up at his house with the shoulder off. She showed up at the house again for some drinks, and he was saying her baby looked like him. So, you know, maybe Moses has a point. So the next scene is Latricia and her man and Stormy and Courtney at the gym. And, you know, if y'all want to watch this scene, feel free to catch it, you know, on somebody's Patreon, or if y'all, you know, choose to watch, you can watch it. But to me, it was just wah, wah, wah. Latricia's voice, I can't tolerate, and Stormy's so boring. Like, I can never stay focused when she's on TV. To me, it's just not, I don't know what she's talking about. I really don't ever feel like anything that she's talking about is interesting. I think Stormy is just somebody that they use to like take up time so they can fulfill the show. She's like a slot filler. Latricia, not interested. Like, they're gym people and they work out in the gym a lot, and okay. So both her and Trish and her man talk through their teeth, but the gist of what they're saying is they were both in relationships and they got together. So Trish, I believe, is still married, if that's what I'm gathering. And then her boyfriend was also in a relationship. So, you know, basically another situation where there's cheating going on, and let's feed them what they want to see, and let's feed them what gets them all involved, and we'll get them all, you know, stirred up and bought into these storylines, and so they can leave the Scotts and Stormy alone. That's what I feel like Carlos King believes. Like, we're just messy people who want to be bought into cheating storylines. It's crazy, but that's how simple I think he thinks of us, and I think this is his way of thinking that he's going to resolve the issue that he has with content creators. And then there's the meetup with Chris Fletcher. He's meeting Martell at the house that Martell has finished completing, the same house he filmed at with the Scott brothers. They're now filming that same house with Chris. So I guess Marceau and Maurice came over to view the house, and now Chris Fletcher is there at the house to see if it's something that he is able to rent, or if he has any clients that he believes may want to lease the home. They're talking about Martell's behavior and Martell's situation with the revenge P. Martell is incapable of accepting any fault. He's incapable of admitting any wrongdoing. He is still trying to perpetuate that this text was nothing more than a simple text telling Mel not to bully him, as if we all was not watching what happened in real time. She was literally responding to him, and then he sent her the text with a picture of a video that he had, and as a result of that, she put revenge P. Really, y'all, this was real time, like happening in real time. And so he just forgets all that. Martell is admitting none of that, and he says that the courts will figure it out. Now, here's the thing about court systems in Huntsville. Appeals are something that you're entitled to when you're convicted of a misdemeanor. It was not something that he had like fight very hard to get. It's something he's entitled to. He's convicted of a misdemeanor criminal charge in Huntsville, and the appeals court hears all those cases if someone wants to appeal it. It is not going to be a situation where the case is necessarily retried. They're going to have a legal basis to challenge the conviction. Okay? But at the end of the day, he's been convicted. He's guilty. You know, so yeah, it can go to appeals court, and if there's a way for that charge to get overturned, they can overturn it. But a lot of times people get cases overturned. It doesn't mean they're not guilty. It just means there was a legal error that occurred in the lower case, the trial that was heard in the lower case, and sometimes they will just revert back to the lower court. Just because sometimes judgments are overturned on appeal, it doesn't mean the person's not guilty. It means there was a legal error in getting to that judgment, and oftentimes they will refer the case back to the lower court, or sometimes they will just erase the conviction. I don't see this conviction being erased. And I don't even know what the legal error is that they will claim happened in the lower court. But this whole idea that, you know, Martell's case is not done and he still has to be convicted. No, he's convicted and he's been found guilty. And he's entitled to an appeal in the state of Alabama. He's entitled to that. And so he'll get his chance at an appeal. Doesn't mean that it's going to change the outcome. And it doesn't mean that something happened wrong, you know, with the court case in the lower court. It just means he's challenging it because an appeal is something he's entitled to. So then Chris Fletcher challenges Martell about calling Nell a side chick. Now again, I believe side chick is being thrown around way too much. I believe that this will always be a point of contention based on people's experiences, their personal experiences with infidelity, their religious background, and their belief systems. As long as people differ in those things, you will have differences of opinions in how this works. I am not a person who holds other women responsible for what happens in my marriage. If my marriage falls apart and my man's cheating on me, that ain't got nothing to do with the other woman. That has to do with me and my marriage. Okay, me and my husband. That's him doing that. He did that. Now, in the event that you have a woman like Ariane who sleeps with your man knowing that he's married to you time over time again, berates you, harasses you, disrupts your family, tries to break your family down, that to me is a side chick. A woman who's lied to be coerced into a relationship with a man and he does not tell her the truth, which is how most relationships with married men start. They lie, they out there lying, then that's different. I do not see those things to be the same. I do not think Sunni is a side chick. I don't believe Sunni to be a side chick because Moses is not married. Side chick to me would mean he's a married man and she interrupts his marriage, or he's a man in a relationship with Destiny, which they are in agreement that they're in a relationship, and he cheats on Destiny, and Sunni knows he's with Destiny and keeps seeing him. That to me did not happen. I believe Nell was with him, did not know he was married. It should not be hard to prove if they had filed for separation or not. These are documentations that you should have. This is also information that the courts have. So if he's lying, it should be easily provable. I don't think he should get on TV and lie about this because people can look these things up. I believe Chris Fletcher was not a good husband. I believe he was a cheater. And I believe that cheating caused a lot of people pain, not just Lexi and her mother. I believe it caused Nell and Lance pain. I believe when Nell says Lance had to drop out of high school to go get a job because Chris left them financially destitute, basically, when he left the house to go live with another woman. I believe her when she says that. I believe that. I believe that Kayla and Chris Jr. suffered because of Chris Fletcher's wrongdoings in his marriage. I believe that everybody was harmed by Chris. What I don't see is anyone discussing the damage and the harm that is caused to families when men do what they do, and I don't hear people holding Chris accountable. I hear people consistently attacking Nell and her children, and that's unfair to her children. Lexi's the loudest. Lexi was the one who got the most attention because she acted out. She's the one who acted out, and she's the one who got on the internet and spewed, okay? She's the one who did all that. Does not mean she's the only one who suffered. And I believe that Lance suffered a lot behind Chris, and that's not even Chris's biological son. So it's time to hold Chris Fletcher accountable for Chris Fletcher's wrongdoings. And Nell is not a side chick, in my opinion. When Chris divorced his wife and he was with Nell, whether he started with Nell when they were divorced or not, or when they were going through the divorce, they were not together, according to Chris and Nell. Now, the wife may say something else, but let's not pretend. People are not always on the same page. There's a lot of times someone will say, I don't want to be in this relationship anymore. I don't want the relationship. And other people will hang on and not hear what the person is telling you. When someone's cheating and acting a fool and they got their foot out the door, that should be your first indication that they don't want to be with you. And when you have that conversation, and even if they say, I'll stop and I'll fix it, and they don't, you should get out. You should leave, because they are telling you through their actions they don't want to be with you. Or they're saying to you, this is who I am, and you can do one or two things. You can leave and go about your business, or you can decide to let me continue to do this while you're with me. Those are really the only two options you have. But either way, the vows that you made together, they've left those vows. They've turned their backs on them. And so my idea of divorce is not when a court sends a decree to my home with a date on it. My idea of a divorce is when you and I decide we're not together again. That means something has transpired. We've had a conversation and we've decided to go our separate ways. Or you've told me you're cheating and you're stepping out, and that means you're not happy, and I'm making the decision to leave or stay with you. That's different. But a decision is made when people decide they are not going to be in a relationship together. And for me, that means me and a person in a relationship. There are other people who have open relationships and may mean something different. From my perspective, it's me and that person in a relationship. When we decide we're not together, I'm outside. I'm outside. Don't ask me what I'm doing. I ain't gonna ask you what you're doing, and I'm not gonna care about what you're doing. And I don't want you to care about what I'm doing, because we're done. And that is what works for me. I don't move in the gray area. Either we together or we're not. And if we're not, I don't give a fuck what you're doing. Knock yourself the fuck out. My papers are going to be filed. I'm deuces. That is who I am. So for people who see a lot of gray, or people who hang on or sit back and they wait in prayer, or they wait 18 months praying for them to come home, that's not who I am. So I'm not going to understand that perspective. And so I really don't understand the perspective of, anytime a man's out moving and legally he's married, but he's not in the household being a husband or acting as a husband to you, he's staying out all night, he's somewhere else. That to me, that's just no. That's not a marriage. And if he's saying he does not want to be there, and Chris said they had paperwork filed, they had legally separated. That means it's paperwork filed. That means he should be called on that. What's the date? When did that happen? And people should look. And that should be a conversation, if she chooses to have the conversation, that his ex-wife answers to. It should not be a conversation that Lexi answers to, because it was none of Lexi's business. She was 3 or 4. She don't know what the fuck was going on. It's none of her business. She's hurt, but her pain is no more significant than Lance's, Kayla's, or Chris Jr.'s, because they all clearly have substantive pain that they've suffered because of this man's actions. But the only person that I hear getting the brunt of that is Nell. Nell's being called the side chick. Nell's the evil stepmother. Nell's this, Nell's that, Nell. And I don't believe in that. I believe women are judged too harshly about men's actions. Chris did this. It's not Nell, it's Chris. It's Chris. But at this point, he's clearly, making an effort to be a different type of husband. Nell waited 18 months for him to come back home after he was supposedly with someone who was a teenager. Legal in the state of Alabama, but you know, not ethical or moral based on my standards or a lot of other people's standards, but that's what he chose to do. But that's just kind of where this man was. He was just out here doing messed up shit and, you know, causing harm everywhere he laid his head. But I don't know how long ago that was. I don't know. I believe that it was, I think Nell said it was probably, you know, over 10 years or so ago. But at this point, obviously, they've decided to stay married. Nell hung in there for so many 18 months waiting for him to come home. He came home and he's supposedly doing the work, and he's, you know, turned over a new leaf and trying to be a better human being for that. And if that works for Nell, that works for Nell, and she's happy with that, so be it. That's her husband. She ain't nobody's side chick. And the relationship that he had prior to her, I don't think that woman's concerned about Chris, and I don't think Chris is thinking about her. They're not even significant to each other in each other's lives. They don't matter in each other's lives. And that's how divorce is. Someone can mean everything to you in one stage of your life, but when you divorce, you know, you're 10, 16, 15, 20 years out with somebody else. You're not thinking about a person you was in a relationship 20 years ago. And there's no need for that emotion to still be there with the mother, and it's not. When you watch this woman in this interview, she's there supporting Lexi because Lexi's spiraling out of control. And instead of Lexi dealing one-on-one with her dad and addressing her dad and her issues with her father, Lexi is talking about her parents' relationship, which her mother had to correct her on, and she's talking about her siblings and Nell and everybody, when really the root cause of Lexi's pain is Chris. The root cause of Nell's pain is Chris. The root cause of their children's pain is Chris. And Chris should be forced to have to deal with all that, not everybody else. So I'm happy he finally stood up and checked Martell and told Martell not to address his wife as a side chick because it's disrespectful, and really Martell just wants someone to be in the hole with him. He's tired of being the only idiot that fucked up his family and is over here with a side chick. He wants someone to be in the same pit of bullshit with him because he knows he looks stupid. He doesn't want to look stupid alone. He has always said he knows where bodies are buried. He got a lot of dirt on people, but he's never came out and said anybody. So now I'm starting to question, what dirt do you really have? What do you have on everybody? And if you haven't said something at this point, why not? You are out on a ledge by yourself. You've been there for quite some time. Why are you not at this point giving up all the business on everybody else? So I wonder what all he has. Coleslaw told about the linebackers. The only thing she hasn't said is their names, you know, and they could always drop those if they want to. But if those women are not willing to come forth and admit to what they did, then it's just hearsay. So I think, you know, we're actually running out of time for whatever information Martell has to even matter. I don't particularly care if Marceau cheated on Tisha or Maurice. I think it's a given. I think we already know, you know. Maurice just got arrested at 12 o'clock the following day. He's on video with Funky Dineva in the same shirt he got arrested in. Where was you at all night, sir? You didn't go home and put that shirt back on from the club. You never went home. You never went home. You was not at home with your wife, got up, put that shirt, a white shirt, back on and left. You never got home. So was Kimmy in the car with you or not? And if not, where was Kimmy and where are you coming from? You know what I'm saying? So we don't need somebody to say, oh, you think Maurice don't go home at night? We know he don't go home at night. And when they keep talking about, oh, you know, he's a good man. Really? Really? We don't need Kimmy to say Maurice don't come home at night. We can see that. We can deduce that ourselves. We're quite intelligent people. No matter what Marceau says, we're not deplorables. We're quite intelligent, and that is what frustrates them. We're quite smart people. So we don't need him to say that Maurice was drinking and he didn't go home and he got pulled over and Kimmy wasn't with him. We can figure that out, because if Kimmy was with him, we would know that by now. They probably would have did a ride share, or Uber or Lyft, because Kimmy is a logical thinking person. She's a healthcare worker. She understands the ramifications of driving drunk, and I just don't think that's a position that Kimmy will put herself in. Did Kimmy tell me that? No. I deduced that based on the years of watching Kimmy on television and looking at her behavior, and I just don't think that's the type of woman Kimmy is. Is it Kimmy's fault that Maurice is out in the streets, lollygagging, doing things past 2 o'clock nobody should be doing because ain't nothing open but legs? No, it ain't Kimmy's fault. It's Maurice's fault. Because Maurice is a grown-ass man and he can do whatever he wants to. What Kimmy needs to do is to figure out how long she wants to put up with it. How far down this hole she's going to go with him. Because he's going down the hole. He's going down the hole. He's spiraling. How far is she going to go with him? So the final scene is Destiny meeting up with Moses. She goes to a restaurant and she comes in with a Fendi bag around her wrist and she has her boobs out in a dress that's very low cut. And I'm just thinking, like, this is silly. This is a married man that you used to date. Why Sunni's not there with Moses is beyond me. What exactly is the purpose of it all? What are you hoping to get out of the conversation? So she goes up, she sits with Moses, and they're giving each other the stare down, and Moses looked like he lying through his teeth. Like, he don't even open his mouth and he looked like he lying. What annoys me about Destiny so much is that she's always decked out in the finest labels. Fendi this, Gucci this, Chanel that. But one of the first things she says as evidence that Moses was still involved with her, because Moses is saying that he told her they were done, and she's like, you loaned me money in August. As demonstration that they were still in a relationship. Girl, why are people, everybody is loaning you money? Why does everybody have to loan Destiny money, but she walking around in Fendi bag? This is the worst kind of, like, if you think about negative perceptions that Black people have to deal with, it's always, we don't know how to manage our money. We don't know how to spend our money. We spend our money on labels and expensive things, but we don't take care of business. And this is just perpetuating that misconception about Black people. Why do you feel it's necessary to doll yourself up, to go sit down and talk to a man who you feel like he was in a relationship with you and wronged you because he married somebody else? This whole conversation does not make any sense to me. It never should have took place. If someone disrespects you, the worst thing that you can give them, the last thing that you should ever give them is your time. Why would you give someone who you feel wronged you any more of your time? This does not make any sense. If you were in a relationship with somebody, now technically Destiny is supposed to be the side chick in this situation because it said that she was dating Moses for 15 years. Now, this ain't got nothing to do with who Moses is. It has to do with, was Destiny in a relationship with him when he was married or when she was married? Knowingly, willingly, over time. That to me is the definition of a side chick. Nobody's asking Destiny about that. Nobody's concerned about that with regard to Destiny. Kimmy and Tisha aren't asking her. Moses is not bringing it up. Sunni kind of threw it out there because her back was against the wall, but we don't know if it's true or not from Sunni. And Destiny never mentions anything about her and LeBaric's marriage, which is very convenient now that we know there are other things that were going on. I don't know why this conversation needed to happen other than to try to pull in people in the ratings. But essentially, Moses is saying they ended in April. He's lying because Destiny says she has, honey, she got the record. She know where his bodies is buried too. She got text saying that he texted her, I loved you, and he sent her money in August. And then she told him after she took his money, I choose me. If you choose you, Destiny, don't take money from him, okay? Choose you before you take people money. You real good about not talking to nobody after you take they fucking money. Stop taking people money and then deciding you don't want to have a relationship with them no more because you don't want to pay motherfuckers back. That shit is shady. That's who she is. So at the end of the day, I don't care about Moses and his character. I don't care about if Destiny's hurt. And I'm not particularly, bought into Sunni and caring about what Sunni did and if she did it wrong or if she's a side chick. I don't care about that either. If Sunni is with a man who ain't no good, Sunni is about to figure that out. Okay? She's about to figure that out. If Destiny is upset because a married man that she used to date while he was married is now married to somebody else, I'm not really sure why she's upset. If you were a side chick to the first wife, you could be a side chick to the second one. How has your position changed, ma'am? And Moses is finally on the show. He's getting a steady check. He can talk about businesses we can't validate. And he's doing fine. So, I mean, I'm just not understanding any of this. To me, it just seems like made up bullshit. Overall, this is one of the most boringest shows I've ever seen in all of Love and Marriage Huntsville. I'm talking 8 seasons, every episode. This is one of the most boring, uninteresting scenes I've seen. And I'm not sure how they keep this up for a whole season. Where does it go from here? I'm thoroughly disappointed with the direction of Love and Marriage Huntsville, because if Carlos King wanted this show to go a correct way, he would just show what is really excellent about it, and that is Melody Cherie. That is her business practices, her endeavors, the things that she's doing. That's all he has to do. That's all he has to do. Take a camera and follow her to one of her 10 jobs. That's it. That's all he has to do. You can sprinkle in a story here too, if the other ones are really doing something. Like if Kimmy and Maurice want to show their restaurant being built for real and them renting it to a restaurant owner, and she wants to start a restaurant and you show the opening of that, okay, that's fine. But all this other nonsense, not here for it. Let me know what y'all think. Drop me some comments, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Get out the way. Who got a watch? Who got the time? I'm raising the clock. Even if my feelings grind don't stop. Got big dreams.